Good morning, everybody. How we doing? How we doing? Let's have a look. Feels like a while since I've been live. There's Enzo. Steady on about the YouTuber comments. Having said that, I've got another 2 videos to upload as content. I've got there's one on hybrid picking, and I've got another vlog type one. So, I mean, the vlog stuff doesn't do that well, but it's like loads of fun actually just sitting and talking in front of a camera. I really like it. So that's cool. So I'm gonna make a ton of those. But yeah, how's it going, Enzo? Who else have we got here? Say hello. So it's actually the last sort of 10 days has been really, really busy. Because I think I've made 3 videos. I've got another 3 on the go. Another 2 to upload. I'll be filming another one this week, and then maybe a couple of more blogs as well. So it should be quite good. Unlock your potential. Cool. So, like, a lot of the things that the thing is, because I know it's really interesting. Like, if I do a guitar video, right, it's always going to be popular, and everybody's going to watch that. Well, not everybody's going to watch it, but more people are going to watch it. So I did one, got, first one got like 250, which is low. Second one, trebled that. And then you do a vlog one, like really low numbers. I've got another one to go out. Hopefully that'll do a little bit better. But the more talky stuff, people just, they want to have something, don't they? They want to have a guaranteed thing that they get that they can achieve at the end of it. So the guitar lessons do that. So I think that's, the more popular. Because there's certainty. You always talk about certainty. We don't like to be uncertain. But unfortunately, if I'm going to be a coach, which I am, like, I have to talk about that. That's what I'm helping people embrace uncertainty. If you're going to make art, how can you ever be certain in the process? You just can't, can you? But you can make it a lot easier simply by, I was talking about this the other day, actually. You can make it a lot easier by how you manage the process. And to manage the process, it's all about being in flow and discovering, isn't it? Because if you're discovering what's happening now, there's no past and there's no future. And that's key. That's what's key. But yeah, oh, look at the size of that thing there. The more the channel grows, more people will want the secrets when they already know what you have to offer ahead of time. Yeah, so that's the thing, isn't it? It's just sticking in there and spreading the word and doing that. I mean, I suppose YouTube can be quite predictable. I mean, the reason I'm doing the content is because I do lots of lives, right? And the lives, you don't grow as quickly. Just by doing these bits of content now, I've got way more subscribers and a lot more watch time than I would normally have, So it kind of makes economic sense, really, in terms of time and effort, especially doing the vlog stuff. But then, there's like how, you can kind of get more people on there the more you upload. So I've been doing those shorts. When I do a live on a Wednesday, I can make tons of shorts out of that live performance usually. And you know, I can just take those performances and upload them. I've been doing 1, 2, maybe sometimes at most 3 a day, and I've watched that part really grow. So when I first started putting them up, I wasn't even bothered titling them, and I was getting like, you know, 100 views, and then I put a title on, then it was like 400 views, and then I just started getting more wacky with the titles and more uploads, and like now regularly I'll get 1,500 people watching the short and more subscribers. So that's kind of leveled up. So I've seen like if you do something regularly, then the algorithm likes you, and that's like one way of doing it. But it's a bit of a numbers game, isn't it? But the content's the thing that's been missing. And I've just come to the realization it doesn't really matter what I do as long as it's music related. You just got to do it and see what's actually popular, you know. As you know, I'm into guitar playing. I'm doing that at the minute. It's very easy for me to just sort of fire the camera up and then do a quick guitar lesson because I'm into it, and it's usually based on something that I'm working on anyway. So it's a cool thing to do. The more the channel goes, the more people, yeah. So the other thing is, you might have noticed that the look of the channel has slightly changed as well. Just slightly. So I've got a new LUT that's doing the coloration on here. So things look slightly more, I think, vivid, a little bit more realer, a bit more cinematic. So I got this guy, Victor, staying over, and he's a video guy, professional. So I had him kind of help me do some stuff. Learned a load of stuff from him as well, so that's been good. Victor, if you're watching, thank you for all your help and this amazing LUT. So that's been good. Any of the Polychrome DSP stuff have a poly octave generator? Ever had a POG? It's got an octavator on it, and it's got the whammy pedal, which like you can have something an octave higher, like, yeah, and keep your foot down. And it does have, but they do have hypertune pitch, which has a wet and dry. But in terms of harmonizer, no. Did you want us to upload our studio pics still? Your channel does look professional. I'm taking notes. Good. Yes, I do want you to upload your studio shots because today is the first day of environment, and I quickly put a little bit of a presentation together last night, bleary-eyed, just before bed. I knocked something up, just enough to trigger my thoughts, because environment's something I don't always have to work on, because usually the environment in here is pretty good. I think, because I like to lead from the front here, apart from having too many guitars, but I can't help that because like it's Kiesler, I'm an endorsee, and like I've got to have all of that stuff on display. But if we look at the what's on the table, it's minimal, isn't it? There's not much going on there. You know? There's only the stuff that I need for the stream, and that really is it, you know. Upload them to Discord, or you can email me them. How do you know I was watching? Thanks for the kind words, Victor. Oh, it's a pleasure. It's been it's been great having you staying around. I really enjoyed it. I just telepathy. That's how I knew. No, I guessed. Guessing's good. So yes, upload your studio pictures to either Discord, or if you don't want the public to see them, you can email me. But I will ask. I think it'd be nice to show the odd picture on the stream. which I would like to do, but I'll ask permission if the person is actually on here live. So Enzo, do send yours through. I'd love to see that. And if we can share it and have a look at it and critique the setup and talk about it, maybe I'll do a little bit of coaching live with you on that. That would be good. But I think what I'll do is I'll just start the presentate. I wish there was a different word for it. Like, it's awful, isn't it? I think of like work and stuff, but anyway, there's no other way to say it, so we're just going to have to get stuck in here. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Now, what I had to do today was I had to wear a bright coloured top. Normally this top's for when I'm shredding on guitar, and I have got some more. I've got another 3 tops ordered. So I'm looking forward to those because I need more to cycle, because I think we're starting to get bored of these, and I really like these. And I need lighter tops on this stream for if I'm playing the black guitar. But anyway, what was I talking about? Optimizing your studio environment for creative focus. So let's have a think. Last month we did habits, right? So habits are super important. But I'm hoping that everybody has got their habits dialed in, right? This is really important. So I'm hoping we've all got a minimum viable commitment, and I'm hoping that we all have, right? And it's, you don't have to be making music. This could be guitar practice. I'm hoping that we all have, that minimum viable commitment happening every day. And because we were building habits, like, the James Clearview Atomic Habits style, we'll be doing that actual action, the habit, what we're doing after something we do every day. The example being me getting up in the morning, doing these live streams, or making my music, or making my content. The heavy lift of the day is done when I get up. Okay, all the important creative things, that's when I start to do them. I don't put them off later on in the day. I like to do it then, and I do it in the morning because it's I get up every morning. That's the trigger. Okay, the reward, because you need a reward for the end of the activity, is walking in the park with the missus. All right. So that's basically the anatomy, the basic anatomy of a habit. So I'm hoping we've all done that. I hope we've all had a mess about with the minimum viable commitment. I know it sounds bad, but I hope that, like, some of you have probably set an unrealistic minimum viable commitment. I see this happen all the time, and then not achieved it, nearly beat yourself up, and then decided to lower it, and then ended up with a really low minimum viable commitment, like mine's 15, being down to 5 minutes. That you've done that and then realised that, like, I've got a shorter time now, but actually there's always time during the day to actually do the creative things that I want to do. So that's the main thing. So that's my habits recap from last month. Oh, and also just remember about deliberate practice as well, that really when we do these short sessions, we want to be going in with some sort of a plan of what we're trying to do. Okay, and then working with that. Anyway, back to this. That's cool. I look forward to doing that. We don't need it today, right? Okay. Is there anybody else here? Who else have we got on this stream? Do say hello. Anyway, let's continue. Optimizing your studio environment for the creative process. So how to reduce distractions and maximize music making. That is what we are doing today. We want to maximize what we're doing. We don't want to be continually coming into the studio, fixing things, moving things out of the way, moving things towards us so we can get to them. All of that kind of stuff. Not having all the strings on a guitar, right? Not having it plugged in and ready to go. Always having to get the amp out we want to use and mic it up. All of this stuff. We need to sort it out, right? So, the introduction. Why environment matters in the music creation process? Well, it matters because what we want to do, right, is all of the things that can be prepared before we do our session are there at hand, and we need them. And the reason for this is so we can get into flow, right? We don't want we don't want any distractions, simply because if we've got to unnecessarily think about solving problems before we actually do the thing we're supposed to be doing, it's going to tire us out. Remember the anatomy of the brain. We have the prefrontal cortex, and then we have the older part of the brain. And what we want to do is we want to use as much of the older part of the brain as we possibly can, because it's not as power hungry as the prefrontal. Because the prefrontal cortex, that's what we use for our creativity. And what we want to do is we want to keep that as fresh as possible and just have that there doing, the really clever thinking that we need to do, doing all the super creative stuff, dealing with things where we're going to be dealing with uncertainty, in other words, yeah? And all of the things that are mechanical and repetitive and just task-based, we can stick that in the older brain. And that's the way it goes, yeah? So that's why. And modern studio, the modern studio, the opportunities are overwhelming, aren't they, if you think about it? So, in the 1960s, you didn't have much choice. You just had, a mixing desk, a couple of EQs, again, a fader, and then you had the pan, which could even just not even be gradual. It might just be click it to one side left, click it to one side right, and you're in the sender. But people made great records with that. Now in this stage, we've got a choice of every single type of channel strip you could imagine, SSL, everything, right? Okay, AMEC. We can get bundles, we can get subscriptions where it gives you everything. Now, synths as well, we can have Junos, we can have every type of synth for the cost of like next to nothing. But every time we get something, okay, it's a cognitive load of something and another set of decisions that we have to do. And it causes massive overwhelm, doesn't it? Thinking about what EQ I need to do, because I don't want to use the wrong EQ in case it makes my music terrible and then I've wasted all my time. These kind of, this is the thinking that we don't want, right? And that's what that's what I'm addressing now in this, all right? Overview: physical, external, and internal environment. All right. So the physical environment, I've just kind of, talked about that. The physical environment of, I suppose the physical environment when we're thinking about sitting with good posture, being comfortable, being relaxed. The external and internal, well, we're talking about in a game of music here as well, aren't we? So when we're looking at the internal environment, it is an environment, isn't it? And this is to do with our thinking and thought process and how we think and feel about the things that we're doing, how we think and feel about playing guitar, how we think and feel about playing, creating our music, And one of the problems with that is we can be very, very judgmental about our performances. So we do have to always keep on top of that and realize, actually, that a lot of our internal thinking is a constant review process on what we are doing in the moment and not actually what's coming out of the speakers. Okay? What's coming out of the speakers is the hard external data. And that's the stuff when we listen back that we can work out what we need to do next. Yeah? Our internal thinking is more of a self-review. It does have some truth to it. Okay? But in relation to a lot of the music that we're making, it's not accurate. So you've always got to remember that as well. But the external and physical, at the end of the day, when you look at my studio here, like everything's sort of computers there, pushes over here. Where am I? Typical not working today, is it? Oh no, hold on. Boom, there we go. And then this side, not quite lined up there. That's better, isn't it? Not quite. I've got my light a bit too far forward. Right. I've got push here because I do live streaming, so I can easily sort of work this with my right hand, because when I'm playing guitar, I can still play with my left hand and I can kind of keep something going, and then I can do whatever I need to do on here at the same time. So it's all, it's all kind of So that's easy. Keyboard's just here in front of it. You know, I can go keyboard and push if I need to do. Guitar is here. The main guitar I'm using is always on this side. Or weirdly enough, right, I spent ages with a guitar this side, and then I would have to twist round and get it to then sit with it, and it was just ridiculous. And a lot of the times, like, these dysfunctional things that happen in our process we'll just put up with. And then when I decided to change and put the guitar this side, guess what? I started playing it more. So it's funny. Let's move on. So anybody, you know, if you want the notes on this presentation, I'll put them up in Discord. The problem of clutter: too much gear, too many decisions. So, you know, I'll tell you the story. I've got a timeout box. I've got various, but I've had times, and I think we all have this, oh, the software, it's not doing it for me because I have too many choices, right? So you have too many choices. There's nothing wrong with your software. But then it's like, oh, I'm just not feeling it. I need something else. I know if I buy just one bit of hardware that I use for everything, that'll give me consistency and a style, and then I'll really become a master of that particular one bit of equipment. So this would be my thinking. And I thought, all right, I'll get that one bit, I'll get it. And then I get it here, and then you're going to plug it in, and then you're going to play it, and then you've got to MIDI it up, and it's just like loads of hassle. And then you go on it, and it's limiting and boring, and then you just think, can't be arsed with this. And then it ends up in the timeout box. So I've got in the timeout box an OP1 and OPZ, which I need to sell. So if anybody wants an OP1 original one or a OPZ, I've got both of those. I've got Machine in the cupboard, which was just, I thought that'll speed my workflow up. Absolute nonsense. Didn't do anything. I've got a real SH101, which I don't use. Why? Because it means plugging it in, MIDIing it up, then you're dealing with latency and all of this kind of like music administration. That's what the knock-on effect is, you know. Music administration. I don't want to do that, especially with something like Machine. You know, you'll get Machine and you'll use the software, and then you'll think, oh, this is like really working fast and what have you. And then when it comes to actually finishing the tune, there's this music administration thing where you've got to bounce all the tracks out, reconstruct it in Ableton Live or Pro Tools or whatever. And then it's just a complete nightmare. And you're just like, you know, I can't be dealing with that. So I just start and finish in the same DAW, and that is it. And I don't even render everything down to audio. I just deal with, you know, whatever's in MIDI stays in MIDI, and that's how it is, you know. So that musical administration thing, like, you know, trying to avoid that is like really, really, really important. And again, the decision fatigue, you know, should I do this? Should I do that? What channel strip should I use? What synth should I use? Is very, very difficult, isn't it? And, you know, we need to work ways to overcome that, which I have. And I think later on in here, I do go into that. So just because it's available doesn't mean it's useful, you know. And this is the thing, right? Okay. If you notice, like, a lot of plugins are based on older ideas from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, even the 1940s, right? Okay. And there's a reason for that, because they just worked. All right. But we do have a lot of sort of modern plugins that will suggest that, you know, if you use this is a workflow buster, things with bits of AI and machine learning, you know. But they're just selling us, a lot of those plugins are just selling an old idea, revamped, you know. But yet we'll buy multiple versions of them thinking we're going to get something different, and we're not, you know. So we've really got to think about the tools that we're going to use and what we're going to use them for. When you look at my setup, like here, for the live, can we get on? Right, I'll sort that out later. You know, I keep it very, very simple. I have literally just one. I have like one plugin that does the gain staging, so I'm not overloading the plugin with volume, and I have the SSL EQ because it's made by SSL, so it must be good. That's all I need to know. I like the sound of it. There's like 3 different channel strips. I like the B one, and E. So it's the E that I like. and that's it. And like in that channel strip, okay, for mixing, I've got like basically gain staging inside it. I've got EQ, I've got compression, I've got gating, I've got width. I've got everything I need in one place, and because it's all there, it's very easy to do it. I do things like having the low pass and high pass filters because they sound great. I've got those macros, so I don't even need to look at the plugin. I can just do high pass and low passing on instruments that have low and high noise that I don't want. I can just quickly remove those, and I'm not looking at a plugin, and I can do it by ear. So it's very, very rapid to use that. And then maybe I'll use one over EQ, FabFilter Pro 4, and that's just for surgical things. So one EQ is broadband, one EQ is surgical, and it makes complete sense. And for the surgical stuff, I'm using something that's more graphical, that you can see the waveforms, so you can see accurately what you're doing. So everything has like a purpose, and that's it. And I just stick to that formula, and it has served me perfectly well, you know. But you don't need those third-party things as well. And I'm doing this as well. What about if you just have like the stock plugins? And actually, I see a lot of dance producers who are very, very successful. In fact, the majority. And like you're thinking, where's all the third-party plugins? And they're all using, in terms of mixing, they'll just use what's in the door. Why? Because it's fast, reliable, and they know it. And they can do more with it, and they feel more comfortable. And these are more important things. What they don't feel is like they're missing out unless they use this bit of equipment. So that's important to think that. So there will be some tutorials that I'm going to start doing that are just going to be very basic, like utility stuff, like how to EQ a kick, right? So like in my kick tutorial, simply all it is this, right? Here's a kick drum, doesn't matter what kick drum you've got in it, okay? When you look at the kick, the low end, you have the tone of the kick, don't you? Okay? We'll have the pitch of the kick, the lower fundamental. And then we'll have the mid, and then we'll have the highs. And all I do is I have preloaded up where basically that low end is, that usually about 60 hertz, and I have a node there that I can boost. And then the mid range, sometimes I like to duck between 5 to 300, so I have something I can pull out there. And then the highs, I just have another parametric EQ where I can boost the click, the attack, so the kick doesn't, disappear in attack. So I can boost the low end, I can remove the mud from the middle, and I can increase the high end where the click is to get more attack if the kick drum's getting like lost. Okay, that's it, And then snare's very similar, isn't it? Yeah, you have a fundamental frequency, you boost that, you move some of the mud out, and you boost some of the top end, so it's got that nice sheen to it, and it cuts through. So I'll be doing a series of those EQ, and you can have those EQ points left in, and then it's just there, and then when you get a new kick, you can just adjust it to taste. And a lot of it's done just by ear, what sounds good to you, and because at the end of the day, you're just writing your music to that kick, aren't you? So whatever kick you start with is probably going to be the right one. When we start changing things like this, because we've got lots of choices, this is the thing, like in dance music I'd start with a kick, and the vibe would be really, really good, and there'd be nothing wrong with the track. And then I would, for some reason, right, my head would go, that can't be the right kick. Why? Because it was the first kick you picked. Okay? So then what I'd do is change the kick, and then completely ruin the whole mix, because everything was built around that kick drum. That was the correct kick drum to use. And then when I went back to that kick drum, I'd be completely confused and then hate the track. This would be something that would happen time and time and time again. Seriously. Now, if you're still listening to my rants here, do feel free to, put some comments. Because we can have a discussion, So, right, hold on. Where's my mouse? The best practice I ever have is with a dry signal, but it's not as fun. I actually love dry signals. I love dry signals. Or dry signal with just a bit of compression is great it's good fun. I always play really well on the dry signal. Yeah, like I'm all for dry signals. Just straight in. Yeah, that's good. You can hear everything. Right, anybody need any questions so far? I'm hoping this is useful. Oh, there's Stelly. Stelly, you're just in time. We just started talking about environment. Stelly sent a picture of his studio. Very nice. Very nice. Good to see you on here. I'm going to do a few more live streams hopefully this week. There's definitely one on Wednesday evening though. I'll be vertical again, shredding, because I need some more vertical stuff. So that's going to be tomorrow. And I'm definitely going to do a guitar one because I need to figure out. I'm probably just going to get a guitar and just start randomly teaching things or showing people stuff. Hybrid picking is sort of the craze at the minute, isn't it? Because I've got the Brett Gorsted book. Enzo, did you get Brett's book as well? Because I tell you what, it's value for money. You get like 5 gigs of video watching him play. That's excellent. Go playing every single exercise. Default setups for common tasks, right? Okay, so designing an intentional studio space, ergonomics, comfort, and efficiency. So, have we got everything in the right place? I mean, to be fair, this studio, but there is just the way this room is. I would probably have preferred this desk to be on the other side, and then that way I'm pointing this way for playing guitar, and then not twisting round like this to do stuff. So I probably would have preferred to be this way on, but with the table there. But apart from that, everything is, like here, pretty good. As I always tell everybody, I can get up, I can go around the studio, switch all the lights on, switch all the equipment on. I can have everything ready in a very, very short space of time. 5 minutes if I really go quick, and I'm ready for a stream pretty much. If that, the rest, if I'm not including actually putting some clothes on, so I can be ready very, very quickly for a stream. As I said, keyboard, push are all in good places. The other thing is this. So here, when I'm looking at the monitor, so my monitor, I always have up on a riser. I would actually prefer it a bit higher. And this is just to do with like having the right posture is really important. If you're sitting up, it's more of it just makes me feel more positive when I'm working, when I'm sitting up and I'm sitting straight, wide posture, and I'm working on stuff, then I feel that decisions, it's easier just doing stuff, right? If you're hunched over a laptop like this, that's just not a good posture, and that gives you more negative kind of hunched over thinking. That's the way I think about it, right? So I always like to rise it up. It's just better for your posture altogether, and I think that's important because we're playing guitar, doing stuff all the time. So it's important that we'd have the correct posture, isn't it? So do think about that. If you got your computer too low down, get it up, because I found that actually my efficiency in the studio really, really improved by lifting that up, and part of it's to do with you get better blood flow to your brain. Okay, sitting like this. So do think about that. That's like really, really sort of important. Having your monitors in the correct place. Mine aren't totally in the correct place, but you do want them on a 60-degree apex, so you can hear them properly, and you want those up a height as well. So the tweeters are like in line with your ears, thereabouts. So that's another thing to think about, speaker placement. But other than that, computer, keyboard, you're away, plug your guitar in. That's kind of what we need. Clean desk. So there's another thing, clean desk. I don't have anything on here that's bothering me. I've got everything's got a purpose, I think when I used to have bits of equipment on here, like my OP1, so I would have my OP1, I would then have the phase of using it, or my SH1, and then what would happen is I would stop using it, and then it would be out on the desk, and then I would feel bad about not using it and thinking I should be using it, and then trying to fit it in, and it was just always then ending up a mess, and I was just thinking about how to use it rather than just making some music. But then it would get to a point where then I'd make the decision to like put it away out of sight, and then I would be completely free of that thing and feel a lot better. And then default setups for common tasks, tracking and mixing, writing music, very, very important. So this is something that I'll be doing some content on. So a great way to start, right, is from the beginning, okay? So it may be that after this you think, you know what, I'm just gonna rethink everything to do with my DAW template. And what I recommend that you do, right, is you want to be thinking about your DAW like it's an instrument, that you pick it up and you play it and instantly stuff starts happening. And the way to do that is to keep it simple, right? And then build on it. So for example, it's like going to the gym, isn't it? You start with light weights, right? So even if you're an experienced producer, I know what I'm doing, I need all these things, just try this, okay? Because I can guarantee you'll be quickly you'll be building this template up and you'll be able to use everything. You'll be working a lot 10 times faster if you do this process. And it's called beats plus 3, okay? So you limit yourself. You have one set of drums, okay? So if it's a live drum kit that you play, you've got the drums. That is it, okay? If you're using a drum machine, like I use EXO, absolutely love EXO to death. Like EXO is brilliant. I'll tell you why I like it, is because I can get a lot of sounds from my hard drive. It's really good for sound selection because I have access to my full library just at the click of a button, so it's quick to do, put kits together, and it sounds great. So, or, you know, there's nothing wrong if you're in Ableton Live or whatever, just using whatever the stock. I mean, the thing in Ableton's amazing. You know, the stock stuff's really good. So, you know, you could just use the stock drums or drum samplers or whatever. But you're just going to have beats, okay? And those beats are going to be kick, snare, hi-hat, you know, the usual thing, a little bit of percussion, some crashes, and that's it. And that's your drummer, okay? Because we're thinking of the DAW like a band. You'd have your bass, so one bass instrument. For me, I use the SH101, and I have it on one. There's like 1 or 2 patches I use, and those patches, I just then modify that sound to the music. I don't go preset surfing. And then you can have one other instrument, so you can have another instrument that's going to do sort of your mid-range, so like chords, that sort of thing. So it could be, you know, you have your bass, you have your, you know, your rhythm track, and then you have a lead, and that is it, or a vocal. And those are your tracks, you know, and that's all you've got to deal with. And the only problem you've got to do now is to actually make some music. And what you do is you just set splurge, right? Okay, so we know what a splurge is. A splurge is making a piece of music without judgment, and you're making it like with 100% speed, and you're going for quantity, not quality, and it's an additive process. We're not doing any editing at all. We're just getting the music down. And what you do is you could do, you know, 15-minute, 10, 15-minute session, or like half an hour max, I would say, of doing these speed writing sessions. You quickly make this beat, and then what you can do is you do wins, problems, opportunities there and then. Don't wait the 7 days, which I suggest. So you'd be going off your internal feeling as well as a bit of the data that's coming out the speakers, and you just make always do your wins, because you want to feel good about what you've done, because you've done something. You know, if you're doing this for the first time, beats plus 3, a win is actually having a go and kind of breaking the monotony of whatever your previous setup or process was that wasn't working. And then after that, you're just really putting down all the problems, and you will have lots of problems, and this is great. So you'll have lots of problems, lots of things that were going on, and then you just create opportunities for every problem. And these problems that you're solving in your process will be things to do with your template. So it could be things like, well, the guitar sound dry. Okay. So in other words, now, well, how do I make it sound like different? How do I kind of give it space? And then you can start choosing a reverb. You can start choosing modulation effects. And you're doing this for all of your instruments. You're just upgrading them with their necessary effects, you know? If you've got basically, you know, if you're using like the wonderful polychrome stuff and you've got all your effects and your patches, your sound, it might be that you just need to tidy them up a little bit, and that comes in your problem. So you do that. You know, maybe the effects were kind of stepping on the other instruments and making it very cloudy. So then, you know, that you maybe need to tweak high passes and low passes and turn things down or turn things up. And then you might have, well, the bass sounded a bit boring. I need like a different change. Maybe I could add a distortion pedal. So, you know, for like the drops of the choruses, you can put a distortion on and that lifts everything. So you're just upgrading all of your band members. And because of that, there's a purpose. And then you start getting excited, right? To then get back and start writing another splurge to see how this works. And then sure enough, you'll run into problems. And then it'll be something like, you know what, I need another band member. So you add another instrument. And that's where I'd have like another synth doing like little arpeggio sort of things. And you go on like that. And what you'll find is in people who are very, very successful, they'll have like very set things that they do in their template that they always use. They always have like particular go-to synths that they know. And the reason for that is because they have some certainty there. They know that there's mastery. They know how that thing works and they can use it in their sleep. And the only way to do that is to use the one thing continuously, you know, through your creative process multiple times because you're practicing it. So in other words, that's why I argue that doing your setting your template up like this, using it, adding to it, using it, adding to it, you're practicing it like an instrument and you're adding more and more stuff to it. But as you're adding more and more stuff, it's things that you can use. And also remember when we talked about being in flow, that we need to have a skill to challenge ratio. So just by adding, you know, one different effect that you may not have used, okay, by adding one of those things, okay, that'll shift you into your 4% to 7% uncomfortable range, okay, which is what you want to get into flow. You've also got the excitement of wanting to try this thing out on another piece of music that you're going to make. I'm getting excited now just thinking about this. I just want to trash all of my template and start again from the beginning because it's such a laugh, you know. Interesting thing is whenever I do that, I always end up at the same point again. And that is simply because what I'm doing is correct. I've practiced it from the ground up. It's interesting, isn't it? Just get rid of that bot. So yes, and then you can grow your template, and then you'll be an expert on using it. All right, so I'm going to pour another. My throat's a bit dry. I'm going to pour another coffee. Oh, I feel like I was ranting there. Dead excited about templates. I want to be a beginner again. This is fun. Excellent, Enzo. Am I allowed to use your pictures and share them with the? Can I share them on here maybe next week? As we review and talk about people's studio setups. Is that okay? Would you be happy for me to do that? If you don't want me to, oh, you are brilliant. That's good. That's excellent. Oh, you know what? I'll find a picture of So, where would it be? I'll have it on my phone, right? I'll find it. So I'll tell you the story of my focus room, okay? So when I first started getting into this, because I'm the worst example of everything, right? I do all the mistakes, okay? Easy. So there I was. For years I've produced in the bedroom. It's interesting because then when I actually came here, I had a room in the basement that was just dedicated to studio production, and there was no bed, and then a bed followed the whole studio about, so it ended up being the bedroom. And then, just the missus wasn't going to see me, so we just moved into the basement. We've got this lovely house, and we just don't bother with any of it. We're just in the basement. It's our creative heaven. And of course, we're doing stuff all the time. We never leave it. So anyway, so this was our other house, right? So I had a lovely big bedroom and I had my studio in it. It's great because you just get out of bed, don't you? And you're there, aren't you? But obviously, like, I was struggling till I got coached trying to reinvent my career. And I first then heard about, the guy who coached me, Mike, was then talking about having a focus haven. And he had pictures of his ultimate studio that he was in, but then didn't write much music, and then his studio, which was just next to a washing machine, and he wrote loads of stuff there because he had more of an intention, and I was full of intention, and I just needed, the problem is that there was no distractions. Like, his big studio had loads of distractions because he had too much stuff and equipment, and he would, rather than write a bit of music, continuously rewire his studio and faff with it. And I was thinking, this is me, because I would do that. I would go in and just go, I need to rewire and organize everything before I do any music. And it's just procrastination. It's just absolute nonsense, isn't it? But then I also realised that I'd get distracted a lot. So I remember Anna, my daughter, was a little baby. She'd want to be like, Daddy, and like sitting on me, and then want me to sing to her and all this kind of, I couldn't do any serious like dance music with that going on. And then there'd be the missus going, I've got jobs for you to do. You'll have to come and do them now. And it's just like a nightmare, I mean, yeah, I remember those days so well. I'd go, right, I'm going to write something. I didn't have a minimum viable commitment, so I'd think, right, okay, I've got all day. And then I'd sit at the keyboard, dun, 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 and then there'd be a knock at the door. I'd be like, right, who's that? Disrupted. Right, I'll start again. Then the missus will come in and go, right, we need to go to the shops now. It's the weekend. We've got stuff to get in. Oh, right, I'll come back to it. I sit down. Daddy, can we go to the park? Oh, my God. Right. And, it was the time. I needed to move my studio session to the morning, and then everybody leaves you alone. The only problem I had was I had somebody asleep in bed, so I had to move it somewhere. So I moved my studio to what was a large cupboard. I'll find a picture of it, but it was literally, so this table, and like the width for this table plus about that, right? Wasn't much at all. I could fit into it, shut the door, and there was just silence, and it was brilliant. And I just had me, my mouse, a laptop, and I had like a little keyboard thing at the side, and that was it, and headphones, nothing else. I did have some fairy lights that were just white. That was it. And I'd get up in the middle of the night. Like then I used to get up at 4 o'clock, 4:30, and start doing music. So it was like really early morning. And that was a magical time. And I got so much music done. It was unbelievably good. And that was just the most minimum room at all. All of the, actually, all of Riding Out album was done in that cupboard. I was just in that cupboard writing it, and it was just a total focus place. But once you're in there, you're completely locked away from everything. It was brilliant. Just looking at the chat here. Just make sure I'm going to be on ahead of time. Yes, I'll let you know, right? If you're not on, I won't show you a picture because you need to be here. And so don't worry, you won't miss it. You'll be here live. You can send better ones if you want. But I don't want you to change anything, Enzo. Just yet. I want to see your picture. I want to see your studio, how it is. Cable management is the hardest thing I struggle with. Yeah, I can tell you're in the zone of right. Yeah, so it was just like, but I didn't do like, I wasn't live streaming or anything like that. I was just literally in that room. And there was nothing. I mean, the live streaming thing, this is like when you start bringing that into your creative process, that's like another thing, I mean, in some ways, I mean, I love live streaming, and it's like this is the behavior of a modern musician to me for the minute. Because at the end of the day, we've got AI. Oh, I'll tell you another thing. I saw a friend of mine works for the BBC, the British Broadcasting Company, or at least he did. And this guy, right, like total sound expert. He's boom operator, audio editor, all this thing. Done it for years. He's luckily he's just retired now, but I bumped into him in the street, and like he used to have interesting projects. Like he was filming. I remember last time I talked to him, he was doing a film. He's doing a whole series on a nuclear submarine. Oh, that's cool, isn't it? Then he's in the Arctic trying to capture the sound of a penguin. He was like working for National Geographic. All of this stuff, really high end audio guy. And I always remember when I was like younger, I would be like, "Oh, can I come and work for you?" But anyway, he went. First thing he said, he went, "Tim, I've lost my job." I was like, "What? I've lost my job? AI?" He said, "AI, unbelievable." I was like shocked. He said, "AI's taking my job because everybody's like, sorry, we don't need to book you anymore because we can just record like a really bad sound on our voices, and then the AI fixes it and it comes out amazing," which it does. Hands up, he said, it does actually do a good job. So they don't need me now. That's really sad, isn't it? So AI, it's coming for jobs, isn't it? So you still need to be making music. We still need to be sitting in front of our computers, but do not underestimate the value of playing an instrument, because it's a sure, fast way to get your ideas out, and the AI can't predict that for now. And there's a real person playing a guitar, and the other things is guitar's an iconic thing, or an instrument is. People want to play, what you get out of it emotionally is immense, isn't it? So things like this will always be here. This is the way I figure it. And then I can still write music and plug my guitar in it. And the cool thing is people get to see a real person play an instrument. But crazy, isn't it? The AI thing. Whoa. AI does have some uses, but it's not great because it is coming for jobs. If you're if you are a craftist and not an artist, you're done. It'll just work it out. I mean, technically, work out how to make a McRocklin Hutch track. Problem with that is how are you going to play it live? This is why all of my YouTube shorts, right? And this isn't to do with the how do you pronounce his name? The guy that's like, oh God, what do you call him? Who's the guy who's got into loads of trouble? Because he's like totally fake. And then copies everybody and then sells all the stuff. I've unfollowed him. Can't remember who he is. And I can't pronounce his name because I have dyslexia. I'm going to have to find out now.
Actually plying their trade, the seemingly de rigueur active musicians actually plying their trade for a live audience.
Giacomo. Oh, Giacomo. Jesus. I mean, oh God, I'm not going to do a video about that, right? But honestly, what he did is absolutely despicable. Like I can deal with the fakery and stuff like that because I come from the electronic world, right? And like people do, it goes pretty. Yeah. But the fact, right, that he steals from another artist, right? Not only steals from another artist, but like artists who are struggling, who've got like low views on the channels, right? Who just love doing music and they're just like happy if they get like they sell just like a tablature, right? And then that little dickhead comes along and actually blatantly rips them off note for note, doesn't even like play it like properly, has to record it half the speed it up, right? And then sell the transcription note for note. Is just mind-blowingly theft, isn't it? It's disgraceful. That's worse than AI. Yeah, he's a guitarist. Giacomo. God, what a disgrace. He's terrible. I think he's pulled his YouTube channel down. I wish he would like take his Instagram down as well. Like, why would you hang around for that? Seriously, he needs to disappear and reinvent himself. But anyway, keeping it real is good though. Boy, it feels bad though when you play a wrong note. But then it feels good, the fact that you've played a wrong note and then you stop caring about playing a wrong note because you're just more asked about like the notes that you are going to play right, is an amazing learning curve, and one that I learned the hard way with Thomas. I mean, God, when I started getting back, I couldn't imagine like more of a horrific thing to be doing. But you're going to learn quick, aren't you? When you sat there with Thomas, who's like sharpened all of his skills up, and then here's me like, oh, I haven't shred properly for a bit, and then I'm just stuck in front of a camera with all of you lot looking at me. That's sharp, like God, honestly. That was trial by fire, wasn't it? And I'm starting to get on top of it now, but hard work, man. But I totally appreciate the fact that I do, pat on my back, I do play all the wrong notes and they're all live, okay? But I also play a majority of notes that are actually in tune and relatively entertaining, that are real. And I do, like, when I edit my little shorts and it's the typical shred thing, I go, you know what, at least I haven't had to edit it, because it's literally just, that's how it sounds. The only editing doing is like editing the bit at the start and the end point of what I'm doing. And that's what you aspire to. I mean, what is the point of recording your guitar, chopping every single note out, right? And then faffing with each dynamic point? It's just not right. Just fix it. Like in your actual playing. I mean, get excited about it. Oh, look, like I'm not quite, consistent on my picking. I'll work on it. There's a problem. God, I'm getting excited about that. I think I'll work on that. I've got something to practice now. Instead of just this nonsensical, I'll not bother practicing or doing anything properly, and I'll fix, I mean, I understand you have to do some editing. The odd bit of editing is okay. And me and Thomas, like, our solos can be quite choppy, but there's a creative thing going on there. What I'm not doing is like hiding little mistakes and things like that. Just no. God. Yep. And then, like, look, the guy takes the improv stuff, like, from Jack. Yes, he does. He took it note for note. Seriously. Alex Hutchins brought that to my attention about the riff ripping, yeah. And I mean, it's awful. Like, the whole thing. I mean, Giacomo has got himself into a right state, and I wouldn't want to be in his shoes, and his mental health must be plummeting. He must actually saying that. I saw the video of him at the apology thing. He doesn't seem that fussed. So I think what you might find is he's got like total psychopathic traits and doesn't really care. So there's also that side of it. But anyway, I think I need to move on to environment, don't I? I mean, I'm not annoyed about it. I'm just shocked. And I feel really sorry for those artists like myself who are small, struggling. For like, what? And then that happens. Mind you, Shrapnel Records used to do that, I heard. So many people are speeding up their playing, it's ridiculous, and it discourages newer players. Yeah, I mean, there's a good way to not be discouraged and just don't watch it. I mean, like, my Instagram is absolutely full, me included, but at least my stuff's 100% genuine, of people, right, playing the best 10 seconds, 15 seconds in their life, But at the end of the day, you want to be able to just get your guitar and you're at a party and you want to, like, be able to just play in front of people, not be a quivering mess of inconsistent nonsense. All right then. So, where am I? I'm in my studio. Back to this. Okay, so setups, common tasks, tracking. So we're talking about the, our template in the door that you build upon. All right, and as obviously I've talked about the early stages of splurging. Got to mention, my coaching group. If you join the coaching group, this is something you continuously work on, and your setup and your template changes over the time that you go through the process, and the process being the start and the finish point. So what you learn at the finish, some of that stuff you can put in at the beginning of the process, so you can already have like certain common mixed things that you always do in the end at the front. And if you're doing this, like for example, I need to actually have a little bit of a tweak, but anyway, my live template does sound quite mixed, and that's because I've finished many tracks, and what I learn at the end process I can put in at the beginning of the process, so those jobs are done. The only thing I have is, because I do it live, I have like a zero tolerance on plugins that have heavy latency. So everything I use, and that's another good thing because it kind of limits the decisions. Most of my stuff, apart from the guitar stuff, has to be pretty much zero latency. That's the way it goes. So there's that to think about as well. So the more music you're finishing, the more, and that's the real data that we want is when we finish a piece of music and we release it, because we can't take that bit of music back. That's gone into the world. That's the benchmark of where we're at. Okay? We can learn from that. And all the things that went well can go in our template. And that's, invaluable data, but you have to finish stuff. If you're struggling finishing music and you find it hard and it's difficult, I can make it easier for you. You just got to join a coaching group, send me an email, all right? And I'll have you sorted in no time at all. In fact, I can have you sorted in 3 months. That's what I recommend. And then you'll have like the automatic music making machine under your, you'll have that. You'll have practiced it and you'll be able to just be prolific, which I'll talk about in the stream at some point. So external distractions, scheduling focus time, managing interruptions, family phone. We've talked a bit about that. Communicating creative time boundaries with others. Okay, so as I said, minimum viable focus, creating a habit at a time where you're going to get the least amount of bother. So I remember doing an exercise called the Distraction Annihilator, right? Sounds heavy. And I wrote a list of all of the distractions that could possibly happen that would stop me from doing music. I pinpoint them to what time, when they happened, what the scenarios were, and for each one, I put multiple options of how I could overcome it. So just by doing these brainstorming lists and then coming up with solutions is an invaluable tool. So what I suggest is, if you're really keen on doing this, after I finish this live, quickly write a list of all the things that are going to distract you and write how you're going to annihilate those distractions, okay? I don't want you to leave your family or anything like that or move out, okay? Be sensible, but that's why I get up in the morning, because I'm least likely to get bothered. Managing interruptions. Now, your phone is an important thing, and I need to check mine, but I have no notifications on my phone. I don't allow my phone to rule my life or distract me. I have basically text, and that's it, and you can make a phone call, and that's the only distractions I have from that. I'm not checking it. Oh, hold on a minute. I'll just see if I've gone no. I'm not checking it all the time to see if I went viral because of one of my 10-second shreds. But you know what I'm saying. Switch off go through and switch off all of your notifications on your phone, because it causes you to have the fight or flight response, and that drains your prefrontal cortex, because you're having to analyze something and you're having to respond, and these are the same precious core brain muscles that we need for your creative music. There was that study, wasn't there, of an office where workers were, for every hour they were working, if they read an email and responded to it. It took them, and that email took 5 minutes. It took between 25 and 35 minutes for them to get back into flow what they were doing. So in other words, if you were doing that every hour, you're losing pretty much half an hour of your work time every hour. That's shocking. That to me, I went, right, well, I'm definitely not doing that. If that's not enough information to switch notifications off and to limit distractions, I don't know what is. But to get back into flow, it was taking them that, because they were just, you become heightened and then you're looking for more distractions, and that's it, you know. So we need to quieten the mind down and remove that sort of stuff. Communicating creative time boundaries with others. Do tell people, and just try this out. Listen, everybody, I'm going to live my dream for X amount of time, especially if you're in my coaching group, right? Okay, I'm working with Hutch. I need 3 months, okay, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get up in the morning, and I'm going to work on my music. All I'm asking is that I have half an hour, 45 minutes a day for the next however long. Don't disturb me. And when you say that with intent, a lot of people you can agree with your family that they'll let you have that time. If it's something you really, really, really want to do, and it's focused and not meandering nonsense of fiddling with guitars or trying a plugin out, and it's actually good, hard, solid writing music that's going to change lives, then people appreciate that. Stelly lived with a phone for more than 25 years and it was good. That's amazing. Oh, I can't get up at 3 a.m. because someone messaged me on social media. Yeah. So that's good, isn't it? Same here. All right. So, where are we? What am I talking about? What am I doing? Internal environment, mental clarity, recognizing mental clutter, building up a warm ritual, meditation, tuning in, techniques like Pomodoro, deep working blocks. Okay, so recognizing, your mental clutter. As I said, meditation works so amazing. A lot of the time I forget to do this, right? And I'll just come crashing on here. But when I was in, this was me, right? I was told by my coach, Hutch, start meditating before your session. And I was like, I'm Hutch, me. I don't need meditation, man. You know, what do I need meditation for? I just go in that studio and hit it hard, and then usually end up crying when I haven't got any music apart from like some shitty kick drum. But anyway, I was like, this is how I do it. Aggressive. I just go in there. And then just once I love a challenge, right? So it ended up a challenge for the coaches, and it was like, I want everybody to just try meditating. Took us through the process. Very simple. 5 minutes. All you're doing is you're breathing through your nose and out through your mouth, and you can observe the rise and fall of your chest, right? That was it. Okay. And then I was told, because like what it'll do is it'll train your brain to focus on one thing and you become much better at it, right? Okay, then I'll do that. I'll try it for it's only 1 week. And I did, like, literally the first time I did it, okay, that session I was in flow quicker, flow was deeper. The music I was doing was just, everything just was better. And it felt effortless, the whole experience. And I thought, this meditation stuff's absolutely brilliant. And then I did it. Just no guided meditation, no nothing like that. It's really difficult to do at first. 5 minutes, breathing, and I managed to go up to 10, 15 minutes, but I'd always do my 5 minutes. And then, if I was ever in stressful situations or anything, work or something, 2 minutes meditation, 1 minute meditation, just that breathing, just absolutely just brings the anxiety down. It gets rid of all the mental clutter, and you're ready to do your thing. So if your studio session was only 30 minutes long, I would recommend doing 5 minutes meditation and doing a 25-minute session. Seriously, without a doubt, because that is going to get you, it's going to help you get tuned in. You're going to get into that flow process a lot quicker. Techniques, Pomodoro, deep workout blocks. So I've got a timer here. I've actually, and I'll show everybody, I've got like enabled live in my studio session. I do actually have like a Pomodoro plugin, and I can time sessions and stuff, and it'll do an alarm. But basically, the Pomodoro technique is every half an hour you work for 25 minutes. So I have my clock, 25 minutes. You even got a light on. Check that out. These are really good. Only cost about $10, and you get a light. Brilliant. And then basically that's it. And you're beating the clock. You're working as fast as you can, you know. Saying that, like, my sessions can be 10, 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be 25 minutes. But that's the classic. You work as hard as you can for 25 minutes, and then you stop and rest for 5 minutes, and then you work for 25 minutes, and you stop and rest for 5 minutes. And it just, like, everything goes, just brilliant. I can highly recommend the Pomodoro technique for everything. Practice sessions, for anything to do with writing, mixing, especially mixing. It's a great technique to do. Rituals are interesting because, like, my ritual is walking around the room in the same way, switching all the lights on, switching the computer on, going upstairs, putting the kettle on, coming down, brushing my teeth, putting my clothes on, getting ready on the stream, and, you know, I'm totally in with the routine. It's the same. But I mean, the routine's the same because I'm habit stacking. I'm doing all these things in a certain way because it's not putting cognitive load on me. It's all just automatic responses. So always think about what you can have set up as an automatic response. Creating a system that supports you. So templates, we've talked about templates, workflow checklists, right? It's really important to, when you're working on a piece of music, to have a list of something. Now, I've got very specific ways of where you can do this, but it's always good just to have a checklist of things that you're going to do. So, and then pick 3 of them and do them. So I've got this thing called the momentum method, and this is what you do. This is like the quick and dirty thing, and it's fairly effective, right? So what I do is you do your splurge, you do your session, okay? You listen to your session that you've done, which you're not really supposed to do, ideally, but let's say you need to push a track through for a fast deadline, then this is the process you would do. So you just do your writing, and then you listen to your music once, no more than 2 times, and when the music stops, you write 3 things that you're going to do, okay? And you can't listen to it more than 2 times. Those 3 things that you're going to do, when you go to your next session, you ruthlessly act on those 3 things. But what actually happens is you'll do action number 1, right? And what will happen is that'll get you into flow. And you can actually start with the easiest action, okay, like something you can do, and you'll see yourself get into flow. And then what will happen is other ideas will happen in your head. And rather than going on to the second job on the job list of 3 things, is you explore all of those ideas. And then when that dries up, you just go into the next thing on the list and you do that. So the list acts like it's a bit of a safety net, okay? Like when the session grinds to a halt, you can go to the next thing on your list, and you just keep doing that till basically you finish everything that's on your list. Yeah. So and you have a good session, and you'll end up finishing music very, very quickly by doing that. Creating a system that supports you. So again, we mentioned templates. And workflow checklists, gear setup ready for capture. So just make sure that everything's like plugged in and ready to go. All right, I'm sure we agree with this. Coaching takeaways. You don't need more gear. You need more clarity. Okay, more clarity, super important. But then I can't give you certainty. That's one thing. But you can have more clarity within the moment. That's something that is definitely 100% doable. The best environment is the one that helps you decide quickly. It's all about decisions, making decisions. And remember, I've said this many times before, 2 processes. Okay, we have analysis and we have insight. Insight is what we want to be doing when we're writing music or doing whatever we're doing. We want to be making decisions effortlessly. We want to be relying on instinct. But remember, this instinct isn't just a whim. It isn't just a random thing. That's what we think it is. insight comes from the phase of analysis. So all of the work that you do, practicing, reading, all these kind of things, music that you listen to that you want to be influenced by, all these things go into the subconscious and then arrive as insight. And one of my top tips is you always trust insight straight away, because it's there for a reason. It's there from the phase of analysis. Your brain works on problems in the background when we're doing other things. So that's super important. And focus is a skill that you can train, and we'll be doing more on focus. So I'm going to do a deep focus dive, right? But all I will say now is, in order to train that focus, you're going to have to remove distractions and phones, notifications. It's bizarre, isn't it? Because the thing we're making music on a computer is the biggest distraction, so we do have to manage it. Clarity is more important. Okay, final thought. Less is more. Bit of a cliche, unless you're Yingwi Malmsteen. More is more. I love him. Your environment should serve your creativity. And I'm open for questions. I'm hoping there's lots of questions and people can talk to me about their experiences and all this kind of stuff, because this is the exciting bit that I want to just get to. All right, and I've got 10 minutes left for this. So, over to here, and let's have some. I'll just get my chat thing here, and then that's the end of my lecture. So, yeah, study clarity is more important. This is great for people with severe ADHD. What turned up to this morning session, or organising the studio? I know what you mean. And so it's organising your studio. You need to do that, and I think it's really important that they're all important, these talks that I'm doing, but I really feel that this is important, even if, right, and I know like all of this stuff is blatantly simple and obvious, right? In my experience, it's just nice to have somebody there that you trust. I hope you guys trust me, right? Just saying what you were thinking, at the bottom line. And then hopefully, those of you who are, finding it difficult, as we all do. I mean, with me, it's a complete work in process. So, somebody's left the door open. Just hate that. You're going to hear people talking upstairs. Not to worry. Anyway, any questions? Any question? I'm going to shut the door. It's annoying me. Oh, right, okay. Okay, sorted. Oh God, what's gone wrong with my hair, man? Right, there we go. So Okay, do you have an overview, or should we rewatch? Enzo, I want you to rewatch, but in Discord, like later today, I'm gonna put in the so the slides that I've used will be in Discord. I'll put it there, and then everybody can have it, and then you can go through that. And then you've also got, you can rewatch this as well. And I think what I'll do is I'll try and do some sort of content video on this, you know. So yes, you can have the slides. That's no problem. You're in flow and getting into flow, right? Cool. You have some good stuff in here, but I didn't have my notebook. But yeah, right. So that's cool. Make notes. Feel free to make notes. Making notes is good, but I will give you the slides. Fellow Tim Hutch, I'm looking into buying a new guitar and I'm on a budget. What do you think of Dean guitar? I've got no idea about. The only guitars, right, that I actually know about are Kiesel and Ibanez. I'm a really bad person to like. Any guitar's a good guitar as long as you practice on it and make it sing. That's it. I mean, a great guitarist, you'll always hear this, will just make any guitar sound great. So as long as it hasn't got a massive action and it's painful to play, any guitar will do. But the main thing is you're not fighting the guitar. How could you summarize those three or so main strategies in the latter on getting into flow? So the strategies are one, okay, that you do some meditation. Three, one is meditation. Two is having some sort of an intention, okay, when you go into the studio, or some sort of skill to challenge ratio. And then three for me is a timer, is using a timer. I mean, I think the timer is particularly useful because trying to beat the clock and you're trying to do something gives you sort of the conditions of flow there is you've got time. So what we experience in time, in flow, such as time dilation, we can actually set up as a condition for flow. This is how it works. So by timing yourself, that gives you a focus, and it also gives you some sort of accountability, doesn't it? There's a consequence that you might not get finished what you're doing, and so you're trying to desperately beat that clock, you know. So that's like a really good one. So there's a few of those tips. So yeah, having an aim is really important as well. So if you're going to go in the studio, you're going to splurge, and that's what you're doing. Okay. If you're going in to do a mix and you're giving yourself a certain amount of time to achieve a certain amount of objectives. And with that could be something new that you're going to explore, like, you know what I was saying, when we're upgrading our templates, and maybe we're adding a distortion pedal to the bass player or something like that, then, you know, that's adding to that skill to challenge ratio. I think Ibanez are great. RGs are very good, yeah. So, really handy book is Rise of Superman, Stephen Kotler, but you can just go on to Google or ChatGPT or something and just ask what the main points are, or what the main points of flow are. In fact, I'll just... What are the 17 conditions of flow according to Stephen Kotler? There we go. Boom. See what it does. Yeah, so it's so good, isn't it? This is so applicable to music. So it's like first 10 are like probably the most applicable. So clear goals, immediate feedback, challenge to skill ratio, concentration, intense focus, so switching off the notifications. This is all geared towards this, everything I say. Control, a sense of personal agency and ability to influence outcomes. So effortless, making decisions, effortlessness, ease. This is all the things that we're experiencing in flow. having a rich environment, novel complexity. So when I'm talking about templates, that's what we're doing there, aren't we? We're adding novelty, and we're adding a certain amount of complexity within the skill to challenge ratio. Deep embodiment, meditation's going to get this. Full body awareness and engagement in the task. So body scans in meditation are great. High consequences. Perceived risks, you don't actually have to have one, but you can imagine a risk. So I used to have a bit of A4 on my wall, and it had 0 future. So I had to finish my music in a certain time because there would be no future left. It would be as if time ran out. And I used to find that highly motivating when I used to see that in big letters on my wall. So having consequences are good. And often you'll see people like, oh, if I don't get this track finished, I'll have to donate so much money to charity. Autonomy. Freedom to make choices boosts intrinsic motivation. So there you go. Conditions of flow. And then it's got group flow, the social triggers. But those 10 are the main ones that are all very, very applicable. Brilliant. That's another talk, isn't it? Flow. It doesn't matter. I think it's all very playable. Ibanez are great. Make sure it's set up properly by a tech. Up right there, you see, Enzo. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, in fact, like at work, I don't use the most amazing guitar. Like I have an acoustic guitar. I'll not mention the name on here, as he's the artist. And basically, I got the best one I could play, and then I got my tech to set it up, and that guitar plays like, it's what, a $400 guitar that now plays like a $1,500 guitar, but sounds like a $400 guitar, if you know what I mean. Right. Oh dear. I hope my Giacomo rant wasn't too harsh. No, it wasn't, was it? Right. Anyway, any final questions before I go for my park walk? I'm about to head off. So from me, I hope everybody's enjoyed it. If you're wanting some music coaching sessions, either one-to-one or join a group, you know where to come. Email me. The email is in the description if you scroll to the bottom. Just as like everything above it's more important, like the description and all that kind of stuff. At timhutch.uk is my email. So you can email me there for one-to-one group coaching. And then if you really want a guitar lesson, we can do that as well. And there's the Patreon. Join the Patreon. Just look for Tim Hutch. Or there's a link somewhere. You can do that. I'll have to be more mindful about my Patreon, right? But it's great. I've got some people paying money on there, and it's this is why I do this. It's great to have that kind of small financial support from people. It's brilliant. Even if it doesn't make much money, it's just that nice. It's a nice thing. And I think it's also good for when you're paying that, is you're committed to what this channel's doing, which is helping us be more productive and live our best musical lives ever. So I'm going to have to head off now, guys. And it's been a pleasure. And I'll see you tomorrow, Wednesday night, for some serious shredding.